Hey guys, welcome back to engVid with me, Benjamin. Today we're looking at a business English lesson for a reasonable sort of intermediate and upwards level, helping you to do business perhaps with other cultures, or if you just want to sound a little bit more polite when you are negotiating and trying to reach a deal. Obviously, it will benefit those of you who are not necessarily using English at work, because you'll see grammar structures in use, and it will just help your general English ability. Okay, so opening up a conversation, you might say something like, do you think we could have a little talk about? So it sounds to me like something my former boss would say to me if I'd maybe done something really bad. She'd say, do you think we could have a little talk about this? The little talk makes it sound, she's being polite. It's not that serious. It doesn't sound serious even if it is serious, if you see what I mean. We, the use of the pronoun we, includes, so it makes us sound equal even if we're not. And we have could have, we could have. It's not a direct way of phrasing the question, which makes it more polite. Okay, do you think we could have a little talk about whatever you're talking about? Okay, into the actual negotiation. If you're asking them to do something quicker, instead of do it now, you're being slow, you might say, I was wondering if you might be able to finish the report a little bit sooner, or whatever you're asking them to do. I was wondering if you might be able to a little bit sooner. Okay, moving on. I think I or we could do this, provided you do that. So it's like, we'll do this if you do that. Provided you, or as long as. This is asking them to commit to doing it. It's asking for a promise. Okay? I think we could finish our sales forecast by the end of the day, as long as you do this. Okay? If we're being asked to do something that we don't have permission to give a definite answer, then a phrase like this, I would have to check that with whoever the person is first. I would have to check with first. Okay. And then he or she'd have to confirm. He or she would have to confirm. Okay, cool. With me so far? Hope so. Now, really trying to reach that agreement, the deal breaker. What if we did this and you did that? So we've got a problem. We're trying to find a solution. What if we raised another £1,000 and you spoke to your sponsors in Japan? Okay, we're going to do this, you do that. But what if? Yeah, it's a proposal. It's just a suggestion. It's not an order. Yeah. Sometimes people don't like being given very direct orders, because then the relationship, it's like this person's important and you're just being told what to do. So suggestions phrased like this tend to upset people less. Okay, so we've kind of finished our discussion, and what we're doing here is just sort of agreeing the action steps. I'll wait to hear from you then. So that's like, this person needs to do something and you're going to tell me when you've finished it. I'll wait to hear from you then. The hearing doesn't have to be a telephone call. It could be an email or a letter or anything else. I think that should be doable. Doable. Can do. Yeah, I can do that. I think that should be doable. It's not 100%, commitment to doing it, but it's like, yeah, I think we can do it. Leave it with me. I'll see what I or we can do. Leave it with me. It's like, don't you worry. I'll get on with it. It's fine. Okay, couple of phrases now. If the discussion is not going so well, you might say, I suppose I could look into it. This you would say if you have been asked to do something that you think is slightly irrelevant or unnecessary. I suppose means like, well, if I really had to, I could look into it. It's not saying, if I really had to, I will look into it. It's like, maybe. Yeah. If something is not looking very likely, actually it's looking, the diary's looking a bit full. Actually, it's not looking so good. To look is like how it appears, the situation to be. Is it looking good or is it looking bad? Is there any chance you could? I'm a little bit desperate now. They have to do something, otherwise it's all going to fall down. Is there any chance you could speak to so-and-so? Okay, couple more phrases, just wait right there. What I was going to say at the beginning of the video, but forgot to say, is that doing business in different cultures necessitates doing things in a slightly different way. So, for example, if you are doing business in Russia, then personal connections are going to be very important, and taking time and showing respect to people in authority. Whereas if you're in India, taking an interest in the family, the wider family, pretending to like cricket, or if you're, some cultures will require you to build up a trust so they know who you are rather than it just being a pure financial deal. But pretending that we have jumped through all of those hoops, let's see what we might actually say to close a deal. Our usual price is $200, but for you, we could do it for $180. How does that sound? So I've put could instead of can, because if I say can, then it's 100% definite we're going to offer it to you for this. But if I say could, it makes it sound like more of a favor. Yeah, we're being kind to that person. And if we're being kind, then they can't ask for too much of a reduction because we already have been kind to lower it a little bit. That's, short for that is, a saving of 15%. Does that sound good to you? On top of that, now I'm offering an extra. On top of that, we'll throw in unlimited upgrades for the next year. That sounds, oh, great. Let's shake on it then. Yeah, the shaking is the 100%, yeah, we agree. Okay, so hopefully there's been some useful phrases in there for you. We've had quite a few phrases about sort of sounding good and looking good. And you can always tell how someone perceives the world by whether they're saying sound good or look good, whether they're more of a listening person or a seeing person. But that's another story. Right, why don't you do the quiz now, and then it will help you to remember some of these phrases. If you're not already a subscriber, thank you to those who are, then maybe you could do that now and ask to get the notification so you get my videos when they turn up, which is about every 3 weeks. See you very soon.